8 former Drug Enforcement Administration chiefs have spoken out against the Obama administration on weed in the hopes of getting POTUS to reverse the new marijuana laws that have been pushed through Colorado and Washington state. Can you fill us in on the details of this letter that the former DEA chiefs sent and some of the concerns that they have?
Well, I think they're overplaying their hand. They're trying to get Eric Holder to basically adhere to the UN treaties on international drug control when it's very difficult to see who's going to pressure Obama to do that, because the Democrats aren't going to criticize their own president, and the Republicans would rather kiss, Hugo Chavez's cold, dead posterior than give the UN any legitimacy. They are bound to, their own black helicopter, crazy paranoid base. And so the question arises, well, who's going to enforce this? Who's going to push Obama to do this? I think that they've overplayed a very weak hand in this case.
And of course, you got a lot of people out there that are actually applauding the administration and hoping that they, will not crack down on these state laws and want to see, that move further. But the thing is, going back from the people that are actually supporting the laws, the former DEA agents are not alone in dissatisfaction. There's a United Nations agency that stepped into the spotlight, stating that these laws in the 2 states violate international treaties. So, Sanho, can you speak of the consequences of not heeding the United Nations warnings? I mean, marijuana is still illegal under federal law. We do have states' rights in America, but then there are these international treaties as well.
Yeah, so the International Narcotics Control Board is the guardian of these treaties. They interpret these treaties, but they have no enforcement power. They have the power to name and shame, and that's about it. Last year, they tried to turn the screws on Bolivia. When Bolivia tried to, and successfully amended the treaties so that they were allowed to use coca for traditional purposes, and the INCB ordered, the Bolivians to stop chewing coca. That's not going to happen. So they're fairly toothless, and they have a long history of scolding other nations and making pronouncements, but they have no traction.
And the thing is, too, they're not only concerned about marijuana, they're talking about legal highs and, some of the problems this is presenting in other countries all around the world. But overall, the United States does its fair share of drug, controlling drug policing around the world as well. So do you think that that's going to change the way that international communities are reacting as we do have this battle take center stage on our own soil?
Yes, I think it opens up a tremendous amount of political space for other countries to push the envelope when they see that, 2 major states in the United States their voters have directly challenged the government on this issue. And if you take the DEA, former DEA chief's letters at face value, what are they really saying? Lots of states have already decriminalized possession of marijuana, so it's only a civil infraction. You get the equivalent of a parking ticket rather than a criminal charge. And many states around the world, many nations, have decriminalized possession. So the DEA is saying they're okay with that, but as long as you keep it in the market in the hands of a black market. What they're really afraid of is the model of a controlled regulatory system where you can tax and regulate these substances and bring them out of the control of the black market. Whose interests are served by suppressing this market, keeping it illegal, and very often in the hands of criminals? How does that help public safety, hemispheric security, or the public in general? It helps the DEA, it helps the drug warriors defend their budget.
Well, all very salient points. I think you need to write a letter to these former DEA chiefs, or at least they need to be hearing, what it is that you're saying. But definitely that does raise a lot of questions as to whose interests their concerns really do serve.